Let's get another episode here of Goz On The Go. All the sports talk you need from the week in less than 30 minutes. But before we get into this week's episode, just going to give two fun shout-outs and announcements. One involves our friends over at Mohawk Honda, where they go always out of their way to please you. If you're looking for a new ride this summer, Mohawk Honda is the spot for you. Plus, if you're looking to trade in, you want cash in your pocket, you want to work with people who are going to give you the right deal, and acres upon acres of selection and inventory. You're looking for a new ride. Nobody in the Northeast has more selection in vehicles than Mohawk Honda. Stop over there right in Glenville. Work with our great people, Greg Johnson's, the McKenna, the Ellis's. Say hello to all those people, the Harrington family, incredible people to work with when you're going through that car buying. So shout out to John Higgins as well. He was telling me stories that people drive hours across New York to work with Mohawk Honda because it's people that they can trust. When you're going through the experience, whether it's a change in a vehicle, the trade-in process, buying, leasing, whatever it might be, your spot is Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. I can tell you from experience, because I'll mention this one other time during the podcast. I am taping this live from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I'm on vacation. Yes, I'm one of those 59% of Americans who do work on vacation, but it's 2021. In the media world, you really don't have an excuse anymore of not to tape your podcast. All it takes is this microphone, a laptop, and my recording system. Pilot had no issues driving around. Thank you maybe more to my wife, because there was no arguments when I was driving around the Pilot. But nonetheless, kids happy, families happy, and we're getting all the different places here on vacation. Thanks to Mohawk Honda and my Pilot. Love the vehicle. Do the same for yourself this summer. Or maybe it's going to have to be that dreaded road trip that fails because of the vehicle. I say don't do that. Instead, head over to Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. And don't forget, this Sunday, oh, it feels so good to say it again, the return of Levac and Goz. We will be back this summer, throughout the entire summer, with more exciting news on the way throughout the future. But once a week, this summer, you'll be hearing Levac and Goz. If you want to already download the shows, Apple and Spotify, the links are up. Head over there. Don't worry, they're going to be on our YouTube page as well. Also on the Techies Fire and Water Restoration Facebook page. So for all those ways in which you can follow Levac and Goz, check out our YouTube side. And look at that, scrolling right on the screen right now. You can see all the social media platforms in which you can follow the show. Make sure also to follow our friends at The Hideaway on Facebook, /Hideaway Saratoga on Facebook. Again, 8 to 10 a.m. We'll be broadcasting live. If you want to be a part of the show, Tech East, TE Fire Waters Facebook page. Follow that. Watch the show. You already know it if you're watching on the Gozilla Media YouTube side. And then on demand the next day on Apple and Spotify. So you can hear all the crazy things Levac and I have been up to on the return to the show. And throughout the summer, make sure you follow all the social media platforms again, so you know where we're going to be broadcasting. So you know when the shows are going to be coming up, and more exciting for that news to be back with my pal Levac throughout the summer. And the future looks bright for Levac and Goz. Can't wait for that. Now, let's get into it. This week's edition of Goz On The Go. So we're taping this like a few minutes after I'm watching Steven Stamkos skate around the ice as the Tampa Bay Lightning have done it. They have won the Stanley Cup. Back to back, to quote John Sterling, at belly to belly. We got a little dynasty on our hands. And it's pretty cool from my side of it and for some upstate New York sports fan side of it, because they got to watch the Tampa Bay Lightning's contributors play at some point for the Syracuse Crunch, the minor league affiliate for this team. And to watch some of those people who have put on Crunch uniforms in the AHL go on to have success in the Stanley Cup, it's really cool, because you can say, hey, I remember that guy when. I remember when that guy went. Vasilevsky, oh, the goaltender, man, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy, a dominant performance across the playoffs. Man, he's fun to watch. He's a beast. Ended up being the best player for the Tampa Bay Lightning stretch. So many people have heard these takes before about hockey, about what they love about it when it comes to the shaking of hands at the end of the game, the tradition of the Stanley Cup with the people's names on it, the atmosphere of playoff hockey. Look, I could break down Lightning and Canadians, and you've known throughout the last few podcasts how I felt about the NHL playoffs, back and forth about my emotions and investments and everything else. Here's where I will give hockey two things credit for. One is Gary Bettman, where this goes back to the pandemic, where Bettman got things right. shifting around the Canadian teams to making sure it worked, scheduling wise, making sure that happened when it came to player salaries and things like that. They tried to avoid a lockout. Gary Bettman, for as bad as he's been for hockey, boy, the last 18 months have been they have been. They've been the best of Gary Bettman's 10 years as an NHL commissioner. Again, from television deals to managing how the league exists post-COVID. Shout out to Gary Bettman, because I was waiting for the boos to come down for Gary Bettman, and I didn't hear him as loud as I did years ago. It was 2016's NHL draft, right in the Key Bank Center, aka in Buffalo, when they booed Bettman louder than they booed Austin Matthews when he went number 1 overall. I thought the Austin Matthews was the rivalry boos, and that was big. Bettman got booed out of Buffalo that day when I was covering the draft. But what I really loved about this year's NHL Stanley Cup final, that celebration for the Lightning, is the home ice advantage. That's what I'm going to remember the most about this, because let's go through the few championships that have happened over the last year. The World Series, won on a neutral field. My Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yes, it was won at Raymond James Stadium, technically their home stadium. I mean, it is. But in the game, they're supposed to be the neutral team, and the Super Bowl still wasn't the Super Bowl that we're used to, the full capacity and everything else. The NBA Finals is happening right now. We got to feel it. A home team win a championship in front of their home fans again. That was the best part about the Stanley Cup, seeing all that blue in the crowd for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa's become title town, right? With the Lightning winning back-to-back, with the Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl, the Rays getting the World Series. Shout out to all the Tampa fans. And notice I'm saying Tampa, not Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a body of water. Tampa is the city. But it was about the fans, man. It was so amazing sitting there watching the fans go crazy again. That was the moment I enjoyed the most of the Stanley Cup. Getting to be a sports fan and getting back to normal what we're used to. Watching championships get celebrated as fans feel the passion for their team again. The NBA Finals felt different, didn't it? Game 1 goes to the advantage of the Phoenix Suns. I've said this before. I got it one more time for the Suns. I can't stand the uniforms. I can't. I want the mid-90s uniforms back. I want the Kevin Johnson, Jason Kidd, Charles Barkley. We're one game into the NBA playoffs. One game into the NBA Finals, the Phoenix Suns have the advantage. I'll say it one more time. I'll be done with it, I swear. Please, can we change the Suns uniforms one more time? Give me the mid-90s look. Kevin Johnson, Jason Kidd, Charles Barkley, Rex Chapman. That's the Suns uniform. But you know, I get it when it comes to uniforms. If you wanted the uniforms, you wanted the uniforms. Still can't stand them one more time for them. But the Suns take advantage in the series 1-0 over the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, out there and playing. Now, was he the MVP? Giannis Antetokounmpo did his best. He tried. Chris Middleton was not as impressive as he was in earlier games in the playoffs. Dario Saric, unfortunately for the Suns, tears his ACL. It's done. But it's the Suns with the 1-0 advantage in this. What the difference has been in this series and continues to look to be in this series is the play down low. DeAndre Ayton, the former number 1 pick out of Arizona. That's right, the Wildcat playing for the Suns. Remember the controversy with him, with Sean Miller, whether or not he was getting paid and how much he dominated the college basketball ranks. Guys putting up ridiculous numbers, not just double-doubles. But we're talking about some of the biggest rebounding numbers we've seen in years when we're talking about an NBA Finals debut. We're putting his name up there with some of the best big men of all time with the numbers that he's been posting in the Western Conference Finals and now the NBA Finals. He has been the difference. Devin Booker's a fantastic shooter. Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer. DeAndre Ayton continues to be a beast down low. Now, I haven't been able to offer the pick for Bucks Suns. I haven't said who I think is going to win. I kind of did a month and a half ago when I said my heart was telling me I wanted Phoenix to win, and I'm rooting for the Suns, and I think the Suns will win. Phoenix has ran through the Western Conference, which has been a better test up until this point than the Eastern Conference. And because of what I saw in Game 1, with a combination of just better shooters, better ball handlers, better passers, and big men who can go down low and do it all. That's enough for me here from Phoenix. The Suns will win the NBA Finals. It won't be Suns in 4, and that guy is still not done with his 5 minutes of fame. I saw he was autographing gear to send to people. He walked in like he was the actual king of Phoenix the last time he came to a home game. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, but it's still hilarious. I just saw a picture on Twitter of him with Jamal Murray from the Denver Nuggets. The reason the fight started, the guy who fought was wearing a Jamal Murray jersey. Now he's with the Suns in 4 guy. That guy's not done. Phoenix wins it 6 games. Phoenix wins it in 6 for that one. You know what? Yeah, we'll go with, oh man. See, like you can hear me thinking right now in the podcast where I'm like, I want to see Phoenix in the series go 7 so we can have that emotion as fans to watch the whole thing happen in front of the hometown crowd. Maybe they can go 7 in the series. You know what? Just because we came off that lightning conversation, let's go 7 games, shall we? Yeah. Phoenix in 7. Not Phoenix in 4, not Phoenix in 6. Phoenix in 7. They bring home the NBA Finals. The key part of that, and the guy who will win the NBA Finals MVP will be DeAndre Ayton, who's going to be looking around 18 and 16. I'm talking 18 points and 16 rebounds when that series wraps up. Impressive numbers for the still really young player. And doesn't this NBA Finals, by the way, feel like an NBA 2K NBA Finals? And some of you know what I mean by that, the video game players, where you pick a team that's not very good, and it was 10 plus years ago where Ryan McDonough is running the Suns, and there's the article from ESPN that calls him the worst professional franchise in sports. So you pick the team that stinks in NBA 2K or whatever video game you like to play. You build them up. Then like 4 or 5 years later, they're in the finals. They play a random team who's never there. That's what we're looking at right now. It's a real-life version of an NBA 2K finals that you're playing in your online dynasty or your GM mode or My League, where the Suns got there because of James Jones, their GM. Suns in 7 over the Bucks. Just thrilled we get some new fresh blood. The stat I had seen since 1971. The last time we had an NBA Finals where nobody on the court, both players, teams on each squad, nobody's won a championship on either team. Yeah, I like that. Fresh blood, new names, new faces, new franchises. Looking forward to the rest of this series in the NBA Finals. Nothing is better than the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. It is the best All-Star Game of any league. And the Home Run Derby, which is scheduled for this Monday, is the best non-All-Star game, but weekend event there is. The three-point shootout's a lot of fun in the NBA. The dunk contest I'm a fan of. I said that way back in one of the earlier editions of Goz On The Go. Love the dunk contest because the connection, my wife's a big fan of it too. Love watching that every year. It's got tradition and stuff. Three-point shootout, the three-point shooting has been better than ever before, and there's always down to the final shot. But there's something different now about the Home Run Derby. Whoever that person was who put in the clock, genius. If we did a podcast of the top 5 best sports ideas of the last 10 years, I think it's number 1. I really do. We can talk about expanded playoffs in the college football playoff. Maybe it's number 1, but that should have been figured out before. I want to give credit to a student who finally decided to change their answers after they've already failed the test. And what I mean by that is random computers were picking it, and there was mythical number ones. You guys already had your chances. The Home Run Derby clock with nothing going on in sports this year's a little bit different. Great. The All-Star Game. Why I love the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is because for people like me who over the last 5 to 10 years, how you watch sports might be a little different. You might have a favorite team. You watch your favorite team from start to finish. For me, because we have a lot of content we're creating on shows, both podcasts and in the past radio, you got to make sure you're seeing a lot of different stuff. So I might catch 5 innings of a baseball game, 6 innings, 3 innings, 7. I don't get to watch a full game to game because I got a bunch of other stuff I'm doing. The Major League Baseball game every year is my first opportunity to watch inning 1 to inning 9. The players, the on-field interviews. Love the whole thing about the All-Star game, and I've always said the component I like the most is that anybody can go out there and win the MVP. If you're an Oriole fan, a Red Sox fan, a Rocky fan, whatever your squad is being played in Denver, you can have someone represent your city, your team, and be the best in your sport for one day. That's pretty cool. You might get one at bat. You might get one inning. But in that one small sample size, you can be called the best in the sport. NBA, you kind of just give the guy the ball who's the hometown favorite. In hockey, it's kind of all over the place. And football, it's not really football, but it's getting a little bit better. Major League Baseball's All-Star Game is the best. You watch it from the start to the finish with so many different matchups of the best players in their sport. Looking forward to Monday and Tuesday, the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. Best things we get out of baseball. It really feels like the baseball season is going to be a really fun finish as we head into August and September and deeper into the summer and fall. Looking forward to both of those events coming up next week. The Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. Do I offer up a pick for the Home Run Derby? You know what? At Tom Goz, TOMGOZZ. There's where I'll give my Home Run Derby pick. Let's get into this drama involving Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor. For those of you who have not been following this story, we'll give you a quick refresher. Rachel Nichols has truly been the face of ESPN's NBA coverage in recent years. Rachel Nichols has hosted The Jump, which is the daily NBA-centric show. Rachel Nichols has been the host post Michelle Beadle for ESPN when Michelle Beadle was the NBA Countdown host. But when you think about the NBA on ESPN, you think about Rachel Nichols. Now, remember, Rachel Nichols' career starts way back in Chicago, does stuff for ESPN, then she goes to CNN, then she comes back to ESPN. I don't know what agent she hired, but somehow her career took off post CNN. She really is kind of just known as a voice on the sidelines to being one of the most popular names at ESPN now. And on Maria Taylor's side, Maria Taylor, think about it, kind of a similar path in some ways, a former college volleyball player who worked her way up from doing shows on ESPNU and the SEC network all the way to College Game Day on Saturdays and on NBA Countdown. Like, these are the positions you want on ESPN. Some of the most highly watched broadcasts are going on involving Maria Taylor. So again, back to the beef real quick. Story from the New York Times says that while Rachel Nichols was in the NBA bubble, a camera was recording that basically said that Rachel Nichols had said, and the audio's out there, that the only reason Maria Taylor got the job over her for the 2020 NBA Finals hosting gig was because ESPN wanted to look good and they wanted to diversify their lineup. As some people jumped to the conclusion, the only reason Maria Taylor got the job was because she was black. That's basically what she was suggesting in that situation with the cameras on. Because of the comments that have now become public, Rachel Nichols is now pulled off the NBA Finals cover. She was doing sideline reporting. Maria Taylor was doing the hosting job. Malika Andrews went to the sidelines. Now, obviously, Rachel Nichols should not have said things like that in a public forum. And when you are a professional broadcaster, it's always assumed your mic is on. Best advice. Just get in there with Goz advice. Don't say anything when you're being recorded or mic's on. Don't say anything stupid like that. Rachel Nichols made a mistake. She's apologized. According to what she said numerous times, she opened up her show on The Jump with an apology as well. Maria Taylor posted something just a few hours ago from when we're taping about how she's been able to overcome things in her career. Not referencing directly the Rachel Nichols situation. Here's the thing about Maria Taylor, though. And both of these are super talented broadcasters. But the Maria Taylor thing is fascinating to me because Maria Taylor, as you just heard from me, her trajectory and her career is hard to compare to anybody else to ESPN in the last 5 to 10 years. But here's something I do know about Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor was hosting an event and a very popular radio host in Chicago tweeted something along the lines of she should be at the AVN Awards, basically like the porn awards she'd be hosting. And a legendary host in Chicago got his job removed. He was fired over the tweet about somebody who's not even in the market. Something, not a swear word or racial slur or anything. That joke got him fired from the afternoon show in Chicago, which is a huge deal. So his career ended. There was a play-by-play broadcaster, and this was a story in the New York Post, that while Maria Taylor was going on this speech involving a conference call, the play-by-play broadcaster said enough, and he may have lost his job with ESPN because he spoke up against Maria Taylor. Also, just days before this article comes out from the New York Times, the New York Post is reporting that Maria Taylor wanted Stephen A. Smith money from ESPN. She wanted $8 million a year. She had a $5 million offer that she turned down and said she needed more money. Now, that was before COVID hit, or maybe it was during COVID. It doesn't matter. You turned down $5 million because it wasn't enough. You wanted Stephen A. Smith money. Her contract runs out at the end of July. And then all of a sudden, this article comes out this month. I will stick by this until I'm proven wrong. And maybe I should be quiet because Maria Taylor is known to take people out. But there are certain people working behind the scenes for people in sports broadcasting that have some super powerful agents. Maria Taylor is one of them. You're telling me just all of a sudden out of the blue, right around the time Maria Taylor, it gets leaked to the press that she wants a new contract, which, by the way, leaked to the press means the agent went to the press and said what was going on. How else would you find out somebody's contract's coming up? The agent obviously says it to the press to try to use it as leverage for other networks to let them know, oh, well, NBC's interested, so-and-so is in. Classic Agent 101. So she leaks it to the New York Post, and also the New York Times ran an article. So why? Why did the New York Times wait? Because they thought they'd get more traction during the NBA Finals? I guess. I mean, was there a lot going on in sports between May of 2020 and August of 2020? They couldn't have leaked it after? It just conveniently comes out when Maria Taylor wants a new contract. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think this is Maria Taylor's agent flexing his or her muscles and literally doing everything possible to get a new contract for her client. And maybe they look back and say, ESPN, look at all the bad things you've done to my client. My client deserves this. And ESPN just says, okay, we'll give her $7 million and she's his steal. The agent doing everything in his or her power to make it happen. Because we've seen this happen before. You're talking about people getting taken out. Mike Greenberg is in the same spot. Think about Mike Greenberg's agent. And this is now well documented too. Mike Greenberg changed his agent to a more powerful agent. And look what happened with Mike Greenberg. He was with Mike and Mike. Not only did Mike and Mike end, Mike Golick Sr., a radio Hall of Famer, no longer with ESPN. Michelle Beadle, who I just brought up, with a monster contract with ESPN, goes on the Get Up show and says she's not going to watch the NFL or football. Michelle Beadle, taken out by ESPN. She spoke badly against Mike Greenberg. Bye-bye. Dan Le Batard, who sat in that midday slot for a few years. Mike Greenberg had a huge contract, wanted to get back on radio. Le Batard used to make fun of Greenberg. Guess who got taken out? Dan Le Batard. You want to talk about some powerful agents behind the scenes? Mike Greenberg's agent, Maria Taylor's agent. Those are people who are really making the moves. Not them directly, but the people who are behind these ESPN personalities who are completely controlling what seems to be the future of that network. Big UFC card this weekend, UFC 264. The notorious one, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, round 3. The rubber match between these two. Poirier knocks him out. Last time they fought earlier this year, Conor McGregor beat him the first time. It's going to be fun to see these guys back. And Wonderboy Thompson, by the way, fight on the undercard should be great as well. Wonderboy Thompson, you want to watch somebody who's live in person with the crowd gets behind. I got to watch him in Madison Square Garden a few years ago. Crowd loves his style, Wonderboy Thompson. And you know, with these UFC cards, especially with McGregor on them, order it. I'm getting it. Can't wait to watch it. I'm watching the undercard as well, because I always like that somebody can steal the show on these McGregor undercards. I don't know who yet. I wish I was bold enough to give you on a prediction who's going to steal the show. I kind of want to sit back and just enjoy this. Be like, okay, I didn't know about so-and-so, but the performance he or her put on this could be the next stepping stone they need for their career. If you want to talk more about UFC 264 or preview it, I don't want to undercut my guy Mike Heck. Check him out on Getting There with Goz. We talked UFC 264. He breaks down the fights and everything else. But I do want to pick up on one question I asked Mike in that interview, and I asked him, which I've asked him and joked around about for 3 years now. Is this the end for Conor McGregor? Like, how many more times does McGregor have to do it? I thought it might have been the end after he fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. Didn't have to fight after that. He fought the guy he needed, and he had the highest grossing UFC pay-per-view of all time. Could have been done. When he stepped inside the ring and Dustin Poirier, it's like, okay, like, we could wait. Does the UFC really want to have a card without a crowd for Conor McGregor? And he got knocked out. Now the UFC is back to normal the way they want it to be, and they have McGregor fighting one more time. Okay, so if McGregor wins, who's he going to fight? Khabib? Nope, he's retired. I don't know. Now, if Poirier wins, maybe you've got the new face of the UFC. You've got somebody who everyone wants to want. I didn't have that reaction after the knockout. I was like, oh my God, Dustin Poirier, I got to watch all of his fights. Like, no, didn't feel like that to me. You got to have that charisma, the talk, everything. Maybe I'm in the minority on that people are Dustin Poirier fans because they hate McGregor or anything else. I will say this, and I do like McGregor. You know this style from listening to me. I like the guys to talk trash and are charismatic and make it a show and the entertainment side of it. You could argue, and it's a true argument that I even have to agree with you on, the UFC did handcuff baby kid glove McGregor for a long time. And what I mean by that is, did they always give the opponent that was going to give him the best test inside the octagon? Not really, right? In December, so many years ago, when he knocks out Jose Aldo, who'd been undefeated for basically 9 years, he knocked him out in less than 30 seconds. You're telling me Aldo, who's been a champ and undefeated for a decade, basically, never gets a rematch? Okay. Not like he didn't sell well. It doesn't make any sense. You're telling me that when McGregor fought in the Garden, that was the best opponent, even though Khabib was on the undercard? Okay. Like, what about the other guys who fought their way up their classes? They never had a fight with those guys for the 1, 2, or 3. When you fought Diaz was heavier than him. He took the fight on short delay, basically. He could have prepped longer for it. He got choked out. Poirier knocked him out. Khabib choked him out. He's lost. He is not as dominant as Amanda Nunes. He is not as dominant as other fighters. Kamaru Usman, John Jones. There have been far more dominant UFC fighters than Conor McGregor. So that's maybe the allure of it. If you don't know what's going to happen, you want him to lose, you want him to win. He hasn't always fought the best fighters, but when he has, he's been impressive, and I can't wait to watch what he does. What I believe will be, no, he'll fight again. I just can't keep doing it. I can't keep it for like the next 3 years saying it's McGregor's last fight because he has too much money. He is just a fighter, and he may announce that he's retiring after this and play the leverage of Dana White and everything else. I would like to see Conor McGregor retire like this. I'd like to see McGregor win this fight, and he has one monster fight in Europe, whether it's in Ireland, whether it's at the O2 Arena in London, whether it's at Wembley, like one monster European fight somewhere, and that's the end of it. Let McGregor fight in Europe. I know he likes Vegas. I know he likes the States. He's fought in the Garden. One monster. I'm talking like 80,000 people for a McGregor fight, and then he can call it a career. I think he wins in the main event because that's still on the table to make that happen. COVID, I'm sure in some countries will still have limitations. Let that be the final one for McGregor. Monster fight in Europe. Hopefully he wins. Don't want him to go away from being the star of the UFC just quite yet. I know the WWE had the Great American Bash and Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up for the summer. SummerSlam is just a few weeks away, coming up in August. But just two quick things on AEW. One, go find this cut. Go find the clip of Chris Jericho and MJF are having a segment on Dynamite, and some random fan runs inside the ring. It wasn't scripted. And then MJF, basically without missing a beat, says something along the lines, if any of you other fat hicks want to get in the ring, I'll knock you out. I'll knock you out too. MJF, man, this guy with the mic, the charisma, calling him the Rock and Stone Cold and Mick Foley, way too big of a compliment. But 5 years from now, he might be in that discussion. That's how good this guy is with a microphone. And to do that improv on the spot like that, hysterical. And Hangman Page, who I've never been a super fan of, there's a thread on Twitter that's getting popular of how this has basically been a 1.5 year storyline, that Hangman Page and how it all came together, and maybe he's going to be the one eventually who takes down Kenny Omega. if you like recap the story of how it all came together, it's pretty cool how they did the thing with Hangman Page. And so Malachi Black, WWE or pro wrestling fans may know this guy as Aleister Black. I bring this up because this is a wrestling nuance, something that's never happened in the pro wrestling ranks that I can remember, at least in recent times. And what I mean is that usually in the WWE cut somebody, it's a 90-day wait clause. Hey, you can't go to a competitor for 90 days. But when we're taping this, Aleister Black, now Malachi Black, had not waited 90 days, and all of a sudden, boom, he's in AEW. Was it because of some international situation involving work visas? Did they just pay out his contract? Did Aleister Black say, screw it, you don't have to pay me for the next 3 months. I'll forfeit my money if I can just leave? I don't know, but it was cool to watch him debut on AEW. And I've told you on a few other podcasts that you don't want to go too crazy, Tony Khan, signing to all these WWE people that are just leaving the company because you don't want to be completely known as just the WWE scrapyard. But when you get young talent like that and the internet wants somebody, yeah, that was a cool moment. Nice job at AEW and seeing both NXT with Money in the Bank and WWE and Raw and SmackDown, AEW with live crowds back. Oh, it feels so good to say that. Live crowds back. Pro wrestling fans, man. Money in the Bank and Daly's Place. Seeing that emotion come back. So much fun to watch. Some of my favorite shows actually have the emotion back and feeding off those crowds. Yeah, the best bet of the weekend. Some of you are going to say this is a cop-out by me. I feel like once in a while when I don't like my bets, I call them a cop-out. That's okay. If you're winning with my bets, you don't care. I knew I was going to place this bet, boy, for a year. I shouldn't say a year. I should say about 7 months. That I knew when Goz On The Go was starting to become a thing, that the week I was in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, I was going to bet on the teams in this Delmarva area, this Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. You can toss DC in there too. I knew I wanted to bet on the Orioles and the Nationals that Sunday before the first half of the season wrapped up, and I'm still going to do that. Lucas Giolito is pitching for the White Sox the day before against Baltimore, so don't touch that game. Chicago, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League. Don't touch that. The Orioles have not announced their pitcher yet. John Lester is going for the Nationals in their matchup on that Sunday. Lester, you know his success, and the Giants are good too, but the Nationals smack around a pitcher who used to pitch for the Orioles. I don't even say his name who's pitching for the Giants that day. So yeah, give me the Orioles Nationals and a little 2-team parlay for my mid-Atlantic Delmarva area spot here for my best bet of the week. I was looking forward to playing that when I was here doing that and supporting those teams. So there it is. Look at that. A nice fresh edition, even though we're out of state, taping it and having fun. By the way, whenever you get some vacations, make sure to tell your friends, tell your family members when you're making those long drives this summer. It's simple and easy. Show them how to hook up their phone to their car. Subscribe to this, Goz On The Go. Getting there with Goz, all the Gozilla Media podcasts. And then one more time for you, if you're just listening to this and if you're getting Spotify and Apple, just search Gozilla Media. And the Levac and Goz podcast will be sitting there. Hit subscribe and get ready for the episode that's going to hit Monday. And get ready for a little altered schedule throughout the summer. Some of you listen to both Getting There with Goz and Goz On The Go. Goz On The Go will continue to come out on Thursdays, but we'll have an update on the new editions again of Levac and Goz. What the Fantasy, We Talk Fantasy, WTF Fantasy, all those different names for that fantasy football podcast we've had in the past. We'll have an update on that. More podcasts on the way. Cool stuff coming this summer for Gozilla Media. Stay tuned. We'll have more updates on that for the future. But until then, enjoy the rest of the week and hopefully to see you on Sunday. If not, be a part of the show. You see all the Twitter handles, the Facebook handles, and more. Looking forward to launching a new show here on Gozilla Media. Talk to you this weekend. And for Goz On The Go, see you next week.